Immortals taking the victory off of EnVy in our first game of the day here from that series. But an exciting game at that, and exactly what we expected when looking at this undefeated EnVy squad and the 3-1 Immortals squad. We had high expectations for this match. So far, it's delivering with a very back-and-forth game one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought once we saw Immortals with that kind of early lead, I thought this was going to be run over. But definitely not the case. They had amazing vision control and setting up that first brush. Just got them back in the game. But the draft to start there is kind of crazy. I'm surprised at the Trundle last.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, let's talk about this because EnVy with like the triple flex here, right? He's like, Karma has been such a high priority support. Most people would have looked at that and said, okay, Ryze is going to Ninja in the mid lane, Karma's going to go into the bot lane, Trundle will go into the top lane when that's last picked into Irelia, because that's something we've seen quite often. That's not at all what happens here.
Right, and the way it happens is weird too, because usually it's like, okay, you have the Trundle early, something else, and then you flex everything, but they pick the Trundle last and then put it support. Like, that's not, like at that point you're like, what are you doing? It wasn't like a surprise to do that. It was like, I don't know. It was a little crazy. I didn't personally really like it, but one thing I'll say is that Seraph does play a really good Ryze, and so getting him that was good. I just don't know why you have to put the Trundle support when you could pick arguably a better support.
Yeah,
they did need some tankiness.
There were a couple times throughout the game when we looked at each other and we were like, a ranged support might have been better there. Now that being said, Hakuho was a man on that level 1 invade, stealing the red buff away from Reignover, showing how potent just a level 1 Trundle is with that bite and how much damage it does as well as the slow, stealing your AD. Regardless, not victorious, right? But not necessarily for the team comp. So that's the next kind of the next step. It's not necessarily the fact that they drafted this weird team comp that they lost. As we dive into the game, it was very back and forth. Immortals did have a slight lead for a majority of the early and mid game. It wasn't until we got to about 28 minutes into the game that EnVy made their first real big play. They get an ace, 5 for 2 plus Baron, and that's where you look at this, you say, all right, next to a 5K gold lead off the back end of all of this, EnVy's now in the driver's seat in what, looks to be a long game, a style of game that they like to play.
Right, and it really starts off the back of Seraph just blowing the team up. He didn't get a kill right away, but he chunked them all super low for Ninja to flash in for the Q to get a kill. Seraph cleans one up, and then it's just a chase down. Huni came in a little late. He's able to turn 2 back before getting picked off himself, which as he gets chased down, he runs right at the Baron, which is like, oh, great. This is where we wanted to go anyways.
Yeah, he's like, in case you guys didn't, I know you're new to the LCS. In case you didn't know, at the end of this fight, you want to go kill this objective, so I'm just going to take you there. No, and EnVy picks that up. They do a little bit of work with the Baron, as we see Huni right now on your screen refueling.
Huni's hungry.
I feel like every time we live look in, he's grabbing a snack.
That was his name on the tournament realm. Scrims, just Huni is hungry all the time.
Huni is hungry, that's great. Either way, EnVy did play out the next few minutes of the game pretty well with the Baron securing a couple turrets, even pushing down an inhib turret, not securing the inhib itself. And that's where we hit the stall again. Baron runs out, we're waiting for those objectives to respawn, and it's not until EnVy decides, well, we need to start playing around the Baron again right here, that you see Immortals take their turn to swoop in and taking advantage off of a somewhat maybe greedy play. EnVy.
So they go for it initially, and then they try and go for a flash turnoff onto Huni. And then this is becoming what I would call the ninja, where he's just suddenly way in front of his team and gets blown up by a Viktor. He did it in the TL series. He's really got to be careful on his positioning, because this is what opens this game up for IMT, is they get a kill on the mid laner right away. They chase through the fight. They get into this really long, extended, can we Baron, can we not Baron?
Huni backs the, so we'll see this trading, this kind of dance for a while. Huni will eventually TP back into the fight at full health. With that, they will be able to secure the Baron as well as pick up 1 kill on the Trundle. But yeah, I think we have to jump back to the Ninja point, because that's the more important thing here, is that EnVy was in the driver's seat. They had the tools to win this game, and it was a little bit of an overcommit, a little bit of an overextension, and Immortals is a team that is not going to shy away from capitalizing on such a small misposition.
Right, I mean, they're an extremely aggressive team. If they think that you messed up, they're going to try their hardest to punish you for it. And that was a time where, you just see Ninja thinking like, oh, I just chunked this guy out, I'll just chase him a little bit further, and then next thing you know, Pobelter's around that corner, boom, you're dead.
All right, and from there, with the Baron, they then go take the Elder Dragon. With the earlier dragons they had already secured, this gives them a ton of pushing power as we just kind of watch this slow whittle down here in the top lane, but nothing Envy can do against a Baron plus Elder Dragons team.
Especially since
Immortals.
the poke doesn't stick. Like, you see that huge Karma Q, and then it's Nidalee heal, Nami heal, Ocean Drake heal.
Yeah, it'll happen right here. There's a Nami heal.
Yeah, and just watch as they, like, these people who were chunked out to 50% health a second ago are now basically back to 75%, Turtle's full health, and then with the range that they have on their AD carry, the burn, the Baron buff, they're able to just take objectives too easily.
Yeah, Elder Dragon will fall off right as they initiate this fight, but it doesn't matter. They still have the Baron. They still have quite a bit of damage potential out of that Irelia, as well as the Viktor there. So Seraph getting popped, almost gets out. If not for that Blade Surge, they may have been a way for them to turn it, but just a little bit overwhelming there from Immortals.
Yeah, I think at that point they were in trouble. I mean, even if Seraph gets away there, it's probably double inhib.
Right.
They recall, they get healthy again, they go bottom and just, you know, or maybe they even split again, but...
Yeah, Envy now on your screen probably talking about what they need to do in the next game to come away with a victory, but it's one of those situations where a game like this, where you are back and forth, where you did have the tools and the opportunities to win, a lot of times the question becomes, do we need to change that much, right? Are we willing to just, you know, salty run it back against them, or are we going to try and make a couple changes to either put Immortals off kilter or put ourselves in an even better position to win?
This is a hard one to do a salty run back on because you're going to be blue side now. I don't think you're going to like last pick that Trundle again.
Right.
I expect them to maybe like now that they have this seed in their mind that like the Trundle can go anywhere, maybe they take it earlier against the Irelia or something, because I think you can expect IMT to go with that Irelia. I think he's played it every game since 6.11 patch. So
Would have to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, I think.
But he's played it quite a few times.
Yeah, he's played a lot of Irelia, so if you're not banning it, he's probably playing it. So I think maybe you can try and bait something there with a counter pick of some kind, and you just try and set yourself up with your strongest picks this time because you don't have the flexibility of the red side.
Closing out game one of this series, Pobelter is going to snag our player of the game honors. He had the most damage for his team. On top of that, he had some incredible gravity field placements, right? Zoning around that Baron, even if he's not necessarily snaring someone in it, just controlling the landscape of the terrain very well, coupled with the Caitlyn traps. It made it very difficult for Envy to maneuver.
Yeah, and even like there were some plays earlier in the game where, you know, Envy picks up one kill and they're chasing down for more and they just can't because the Viktor is so hard to chase into and Pobelter's landing everything. So they get chunked out. Next thing they know, you know, Envy's on the defensive even though they just killed someone.
Yeah, good to see him stepping up. We'll see if Ninja can get a handle on Pobelter in game two of this series. Game one is in the books, but the series isn't over. After the break, we'll see if Immortals can take the win or if Envy can take us to a game three. I sure hope so. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.